Close your eyes and imagine for a moment the feeling of a high-ticket coaching client saying yes on your sales call. Not just any yes, but an enthusiastic hell yes. They're jumping out of their seat, excited to work with you. Now, open your eyes. What if I told you I cracked the code to get this result consistently? One script, over 4,000 closes on sales calls, no BS, no slimy tactics, just pure authenticity that converts. In this video, I'm breaking down my exact sales script that I've used and personally seen convert over $15 million in coaching sales. And it's the same script that has led me to go from being scared and barely able to close $500 deals to being able to close $10,000, $15,000 packages consistently. Now, most scripts, they sound robotic, but they sound fake. They're just truly not authentic. But this isn't the typical paint by the numbers, connect the dots type of script that makes you sound like every coach out there. I've spent 3 years refining this script to feel 100% natural while still hitting on the psychological buying triggers you need to hit on in order to get a prospect to take action. So if you're an online coach who hates feeling salesy on sales calls, or if you're an online coach who struggles to close high-ticket packages, or if you get ghosted after discovery calls, or if you just want a proven framework that actually works, then watch this video all the way through. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna give you my exact script. I'm gonna break down why each part works, and then show you how to customize it to make it your own. Let's get into it. So here it is. You'll notice it is very simple, because it's a framework, it's a process, right? I do not teach that, and I don't believe in that you should, when they say this, you say that. That's how blended, that's where all the sleaze comes in. So if you follow these principles, you will be able to get exactly what you want. Okay, so first thing that you'll notice is there are different parts or phases to the call, and I'm not listing specific questions. I will give examples, but the reason why is when you understand how this works and the framework behind it, psychology behind it, you will easily be able to follow this process and come up with your own questions that will feel truly aligned and truly are authentic. Part 1 of the script is the intro. This is where you're saying hello, right? You're meeting the person for the first time. So you're going to introduce yourself. Really what this comes down to is just building rapport. I like to just be like, hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay. If they don't have their camera on, can you see me okay? If they say, yeah, I can see you, then you prompt them in Zoom or wherever to turn on their camera in the settings. And then you also say, oh, well, I can hear you, but I can't see you. You should have a request or a prompt to turn your camera on. So we always want to get the camera on if you're doing a video call. Now, in here, we're going to spend 30 seconds to a minute maximum. We don't need to ask them about every single thing. I like to connect with people based on where they're calling from, right? So just ask them, hey, where are you joining the call from? They'll respond, I'm calling from Minnesota. And then immediately I will make a connection, if I have one, with that state. So, oh, that's really cool. I grew up in Burnsville, actually. My parents still live there, right? So we're talking specifically about that. Could be as simple as this, and that could be all of the rapport, or it could be one more thing that we connect on before we go into actually, hey, this is a meeting, we're gonna set the agenda. So that's what the intro looks like. Another intro question that you could ask, if you'd like, is, hey, what was the best part of your weekend? Or, hey, what was the best part of your week? They'll almost always light up. They'll tell you about it. You can ask a question or two about that, and then you just jump right in. Remember that this intro is mainly about building rapport and them feeling comfortable. It's not you telling them about yourself. So remember, this intro is them feeling comfortable and getting connected on the call. It's not about you telling them about yourself. Step 2 is the agenda. So in here, part 2, we are going to explain how this call is going to go. You, as a leader, are going to explain to them, hey, thank you for joining the call. Here's how this call is going to go. And then you'll just jump right in to how it goes. So typically here, I'm going to say something like, cool, just want to see if what you're possibly looking for would be in alignment with what I offer. So really, I just like to ask you a couple questions to understand where exactly you're at. And if it does make sense for us to work together, I'll share what it looks like. And if I give you the invitation, then you can decide at the end of this call if you'd like to join. So I've subtly mentioned that they're going to make the decision at the end of the call. I'm asking them to agree to my rule set. So when they agree to this rule set, it takes out any confusion, and they now understand that I'm going to be asking them questions for a while. And that's going to get into the next part. You're going to see in the script, it's all questions. That's what sales really is questions to understand the person and help them come to the decision on their own. Now, part 3, connecting phase. So this, and I would put a note here, is what brought you here, right? Why are you on this call, right? If everything was perfect in their life, they probably would be here. Typically, they had some kind of a problem, and we're going to see if we can help them solve this problem. So it could be, hey, what day do you want to book the call today? Could be, hey, thanks for joining the call. I'm curious, what made you take time out of your day to schedule this call? Or why did you decide to join this call today? And they're going to give you a lot of information. A lot of the time, this first question, they just dump everything, right? They explain, you're going to want to be taking notes, pen and paper, because they're just going to tell you about their life story in the next 30 to 90 seconds. If they're a lot shorter here, that means we need to open them up more, or their personality type is slightly different, which is a little bit more of an advanced concept. But here's where we're going to first understand a bit about the prospect. Why are they here? Once they've told us that, we're going to clarify if there's anything that we want to dig deeper into right away that they gave us. And specifically, we're going to aim to go into their current situation. So again, their current situation is on kind of this left side here. This is not exactly how they'd like it to be. And their future situation is where they want to be. So we're going to ask questions to figure out their current situation and why it's bad, right? What's going on? Next, we're going to get into, and you'll notice this part is a little bit longer. Part 5, problem awareness. And this is, are they aware that they have a problem? So as all this information that they've given us in the connecting phase, in the situational phase, we're going to dig into that and we're going to figure out what is the problem actually. Now, once we find out what the problem is, this is usually surface level. So we're going to go a layer deeper. This is the digging part. And we're going to ask them what the cause of the problem is. This could be a question like, yeah, I understand that your relationship isn't as good as you'd like it to be with your wife, but like, what's actually behind that? Or what's causing that to happen, if that was a problem? So there's an example there. Now, duration is going to be how long. In every single sales conversation where there's pain, we need to understand how long the person has been in this pain. So here it's like, oh wow, how long has that been an impact for? So you'll see these questions are going to naturally flow from one to the next. So after they told us how long, it's been 2 years. Ooh, okay, 2 years. And do you mind if I ask what kind of impact that's had on your relationship, on the other areas of your life, whatever? We need to know what the impact is, because right now we're in essentially doctor mode, trying to understand why they're here and how bad the problem is, and if they are aware of solutions. So from here, it probably give you a whole bunch of gold. So here's where we're going to probe and clarify. You could say something like, hey, when you said you're not spending enough time with your kids because you're at your job all day, like, I guess I'm curious, how much time are you spending, right? So that would be a question of probing, clarifying, and going deeper. If I thought that that was the main thing that I wanted to really get them to sit with, that they're not getting what they want, I would dig in it. We can do this with many other questions. Okay, when you said that you're not making enough money, how much is enough? Or what do you mean by that exactly, right? And this is gonna be different examples for different offers and things like that. But what do you mean by that exactly? It's a great way for them to open up and tell you more. All right, this should be 5. Part B is why now, right? You've had this problem. You've had it for however long the duration was. I'm curious, why are you looking to solve this now, right? Here's going to tell us if they are looking to solve it now. Maybe this is someday kind of a dream thing. Maybe they have been trying to go to coach to coach to coach to get on all these calls, but they never take action. If so, I want to know. And I also want to spend time here getting them to tell me why enough is enough and they have made a decision to solve this problem now. Because it's a whole different sale if I need to convince them that now was the right time than if they already know. And it's better for me to ask the question, why is now the right time? And had them tell me instead of me telling them, oh, this is the perfect time because they're not going to believe that anyway. This is the perfect time because. So we want them to say it. So now we've gotten into the pain. We've gotten deep into the pain. Now we got to figure out, what have they tried in the past? What else have done? So for solution awareness, what have you tried in the past? And I'm not going to ask this question exactly, but it's like, cool. So I'm curious. You mentioned, and you're going to refer to what they said earlier in your notes. You mentioned that your relationship with your husband has not been great for the last 2 years. I'm curious, what have you tried so far? Their answers are going to split into 3 branches. They haven't tried anything. They have tried other solutions. Probably they didn't work, or they worked to some degree, but not the degree they want. Or they thought about another solution, like they got on another call with the coaching client, but they didn't end up saying yes. So there's going to be 3 directions that you'll take the call based on what they say here. But this is important information to know. If they've never tried anything in the past, again, why is it that they're trying to solve it now? We really need to understand that, because if we don't understand that and we just assume that now's the right time, it might not be. And it might not even be the right fit. Now, if they have tried other solutions, okay, What went on with those? What would you idea to change? Like, it could have been all that. Was there anything they did good? We want to figure out what the issue is here. Was it the thing that they bought was terrible? Or did this client not actually take action and do anything, right? If you have an offer where you depend on them doing what you tell them and they don't do it, we need to figure that out here, right? Because if they've tried other solutions, the solution was fine, they just didn't do it, now they're gonna potentially have the belief in themselves that they can't do it or that they won't commit to taking this action. So we'll ask them questions in the sale, in this process, to ensure that now is the right time and that they are 100% committed to doing this. Next, once we know what they tried in the past, why now is the perfect time, what their pain is, now we want to figure out what exactly do they want. So this is what I call the golden criteria question. So this is how you're going to customize your pitch or get ammo for your pitch. So we're going to ask them, so I guess, what is it ideally, and you can even preface it like this, just to make sure that what I do or what we do here would actually make sense for you. I'm curious, like, what ideally are you looking for when it comes to coaching or support or mentorship or whatever the framing of your offer is? So they're going to tell you exactly what they're looking for. This is going to be very valuable for you because you may be thinking that they want community, but really what they want is accountability. They probably want both. But whatever comes out of their mouth first and whatever they specifically tell you they want, you're going to make sure that when we get to the pitch part, you use their language here. So exact word for word what they say, take note of this because this is exactly what they want. Now, obviously, if your offer doesn't fit into that, here's where we would disqualify it. Assuming that we're still qualified, we're going to continue moving on. So we know exactly what they ideally want when it comes to getting outside help or support. Now it is their goals, their visions, and their desires. So if this is something to help them get more money, we're going to ask them how much more they're trying to make and then what that's actually going to do for them, because we don't actually care about the number. We care about what it does for them. So again, you're going to ask them, or let's go back to the relationship example. Okay, so you've already kind of brought me up to speed that your relationship is not ideal with your husband. What would you ideally want it to look like? Like if everything goes perfect, we decided to work together, it's the best decision you've ever made, what would your relationship with your husband ideally look like? And then we can ask some more questions to probe into here to understand a little bit more. What we want here is for them to be able to construct an image in their mind. And here is where they're telling exactly what they want. This is also them visualizing it and seeing it. It could be the very first time that they have actually spoken these words into existence. So this is extremely powerful. This could be the first time the universe knows of their desire. So this is incredibly important and powerful. Now, getting into desire is what will that do for you? So after they have a better relationship, they just defined exactly what the relationship looks like for their husband. Cool. And so when you have that, what changes? Or what will that allow you to do that you can't do right now? So this is going to get them further bought into and stepping into the future life, the future identity that they need to have in order to make this change and in order to be successful in your program and in order for them to say yes on this call. Now, once we've hit that, we have just brought them to essentially heaven island, right? As you can see here, goals, vision, desire is their future heaven. And then what we sometimes call hell island is their problem. So now we need to show them that there is a massive gap between the two. So here is the cost of inaction. This is what happens if they don't do this? What do they lose by leaving the call? This is very important. If you don't get this, you're going to get a lot of, oh, let me think about it. That sounds good, but I got to ask somebody, or there's going to be a lot of delays in the decision if you don't hit this. So it's very important that you help them understand what happens if they don't change, because chances are what they told you up here in their problem is pretty severe and they want help. They told you why they want to change it. They told you what they've tried in the past. They told you exactly how they want support. Now we need to make sure that they are going to hold themselves accountable and you are going to hold them accountable to this new future life. So here's where we ask a question to ask them, like, what happens if you never get it? And ideally we're looking for some kind of a response of like, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I know I need to change, right? So this is the consequence or the implications of the pain, of the problem, and if they're unable to get that. So this is going to help raise the urgency. And this isn't you being pushy. This isn't you saying, hey, this is why you need to do this now. Hey, buy now, can you get extra money off or anything like this. This is internal pressure that you're helping them create so they can step into their dream life. That's why it's so powerful. Next is timing. Here, It's very important. As I'm recording this video, the holidays are just wrapping up. But for example, if you're talking to somebody in late November or in December around holidays, there's oftentimes when people are not going to want to start until January 3rd or wherever the case is. Or let's use an example outside of the holidays. Let's say that they really want to do this, and when you ask them the timing question, cool, so when ideally would you want to start getting support? And they're like, probably in 2 months. To me, it's like, whoa, you just told me all this stuff and now you're saying 2 months? What you want to hear is yesterday or today or as soon as possible. If you're not getting that, and notice the way that I said it, with certainty, with absolute 100%, yes, I want to get this going as soon as possible. They're not saying that. We need to dig in here and figure out why. If we don't know why they're not ready to start, then they're going to get to the end and they're going to say, this is great, but I'm not ready to start for 2 weeks or 2 months. And there you go. So we want to figure out the why. We can potentially challenge this why on the timing, right? I'm too busy right now. It's like there's a whole bunch of natural ways to overcome these obstacles. I won't go into all of them on this video, but if I'm too busy right now or I need to wait until I get paid, those are two completely different things that we want to understand what's actually behind them. So you notice here, in each of these parts, there's going to be questions and self-questions and probing within them. The whole goal here is to understand. I am like a doctor diagnosing a patient at this point. After we've understood that timing is good, we want to check and make sure, is there a spouse? Is there a partner? Is there somebody else who needs to have the final decision and the final say? If yes, we want them on the call. So this probably means you're going to, instead of transitioning the pitch and moving on, you're going to wrap up the call and say, great, well, based on what you're telling me, it sounds like we can help. And now, I'll just go into the transition and join you. So the transition for the spouse and partner, based on what you've told me, it sounds like we can definitely help. And now the best next step would be for us to get on a call with your partner so that way they can see and understand everything that we've got here to make sure it truly is a fit. How does that sound? They'll almost always say yes. You'll schedule an appointment. You're going to go back through this call, and now you have the husband there so you can answer any of their questions and concerns. If you skip this, if you try to play telephone, it's not going to work because all the spouse is going to hear is the price, and they're going to say no. Most likely. So that's, I would say 90% of the time. It's very rare not having them on the call. If they need that approval or permission, it's very rare to get it. So that was the transition if you're setting a next call. Transitioning to the pitch, which is ideally what we want to do. If we've checked all of the parts on this script and we know that this person is qualified, they're a good fit, they need it and they need it now, here's where we're going to transition. So we're just going to let them know. Great. Well, thanks, Sarah, for sharing all that with me. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of where you're at in your situation. From here, I'd like to show you what we have, how it all works. I guess just before I do, is there anything else that I should know? And this is going to be one last opportunity for them to maybe give you a crucial or critical piece of information that you're very glad that you have. So we transition like that. They say no. Now we get into the pitch. Here's where you're going to be telling them about your service. And here in the pitch, we want it to be short. If your pitch is over, say 3 minutes, it's too long. We want the pitch to be short, sweet, to the point. Typically, they have 3 pillars, and these 3 pillars are 3 phases of the process or the path in which they would need to go through. So if you were selling weight loss, for example, the first step, number 1, is going to be we get on an onboarding call to get your baseline, to set up a plan for you, and to create your weekly commitments. That's step 1. Step 2 is where we dive into nutrition and exercise, because obviously you need nutrition and exercise, and it's just what quantity and quality of each. And then step 3 is we're going to make sure you have the accountability and the coaching and whatever else it is that they need, that they've told you. Remember up here, and you get your animal fit physical criteria, what they've told you that they want and need. Now again, if you can't provide what they want or need, don't make it up. Don't be unethical. Here's just where you're customizing and pairing what exactly you have with what exactly they want. Now, after you've done the pitch, it's very high level. This is going to help them get from current situation to desired situation. So from point A to point D. That's what's going to help them get. You ask them, do you have any questions specifically about that process? And then answer any questions they have. And instead of saying what I just said, do you have any questions? You want to say what questions specifically you have about that process. You're going to answer all their questions. We want to get all the questions out now, because any uncertainty they have, we want it eliminated so they feel 100% certain before we get to the next step. Now, we've got all the questions out. Here's where we ask for commitment. So before we get to price, we want to make sure, is this what they want? And so here is where you say, cool. So based on what I shared with you today, do you feel like this is what you need to go from here to here? Or do you feel like this is what you need to get to goal? And then they'll answer usually yes. And you're going to judge on their tone based on how are they yes or definitely, or is it like, yeah, it could work, because those are obviously very different things. Now, assuming they give a very solid, straightforward yes, definitely, we want to ask why. And the reason is because they are going to sell themselves. So when we ask why, I'll give you an example. So they say, yes, this is definitely what I need. I say, okay, why? And they say, well, I really like the onboarding call that is customized to me. I really like the accountability and just knowing that I'm gonna have a coach to watch over all my meals and to make sure that I'm exercising every day. Now we transition into price. Cool. So as we mentioned before, it's a 12-week program. It's just a one-time investment of $6,000. And then you'll be quiet. You'll let them process that, give them some space. We don't need to sit here and hold our breath. It's not like whoever talks loses, but we want them to process the price and hear what our response is, right? Usually if you've done this and followed each of the steps, it's just an objectionless pose. So this is where they'll just be like, great. Oh, okay. Oh, good. I thought it was going to be a lot more, or whatever the case is. So here's where we give the price. If it's not a definite yes and they're not getting the card, then we're going to go into what you would call understanding or handling objections. And here is where we want to figure out what's wrong, what they don't like, and then also what they would need for this to feel like the right fit. So we'll go into some questions there to handle those. If you want specific help on how to go and handle these objections, shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to work with you one-on-one or more privately on this. For the scope of this video, objections would come in right here, 14.5. This is where, and also part 15, asking for the sale. So sometimes it's just a minor belief shift that needs to happen. It's last minute resistance where they're just like, yeah, that sounds nice, but I don't know. Here is where you just hold them accountable to what they told you earlier in the call, help them understand that you're here to help them make the best decision and that this is the best decision. And so after you solve whatever the belief is that's limiting them and holding them back, you'll go ahead and ask for the sale. So that's great. So next step from here is to do the onboarding and do the payment. So would you like to get started? Or you could say, can I officially welcome you to the family? Whatever you want to say. Those are two ways to ask for the sale. There are thousands. Asking for the sale, you must do it. You don't do it. If you don't ask for payment on the call, your close rate massively drops. So we want to ask for the sale, we want to ask it on the call, and we want to be ready to collect payment. So we ask for the sale. What I usually do is pull up my payment processor. I set up their account, or I can even say, cool, I'll just go ahead and get your account set up now. Which card do you want to use for the $6,000? And then they'll go grab their card. We put it in. As we're doing the payment collection here, act as if you've done it before. Just be calm, confident, but just go ahead and ask for the things that you need, get them in there. It's not weird for them to give you their details over Zoom or over the phone. If they say something, I usually just brush it off and this is what I always do. And this is what I have always done. If they're really holding the ground firmly, you could send them a link for them to fill out their personal details, but then you need to make sure they do it right here on the call, because they need to do it on the call so that you can talk about onboarding and next steps. So after payment has gone through, here is where you need to continue selling. And I'm not saying about making it sleazy or making it anything, but we should be excited, genuinely welcoming them into the program and reinforcing that the decision you made was an excellent decision, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help you and get you what you want. So that's what the script looks like all the way down. There's 17 parts from getting the intro all the way to onboarding them, taking the payment, having those next steps. So now that you have my exact sales script and framework that's closed over $15 million in sales, you really have three options at this point. Option one, take the script, try it out yourself, fit it into your process, spend the next 6 to 12 months following the steps, iterating, making it work for you, using trial and error with your prospects, essentially. Option two, go back to winging it on sales calls. Pretend you never saw this video, just make sales calls and just kind of go with the flow and just hope that your matches to start signing clients. Or option three, click the first link in the description below to join my My Ticket Closing Academy. And this is where I'll help you master the script, overcome any objections, and start closing $5,000, $10,000 packages within the next 30 days. The link in the description has a free training that shows you the exact system I use to help coaches 3x their close rate in 90 days. After the training, you'll have the opportunity to work directly with me. So if you're ready to transform your coaching business and start closing bigger deals, bigger clients today, click that first link now in the description. I've got space for 8 more clients this month, and spots do fill up fast. Thanks for watching, and hit subscribe for more sales and business related videos, and I'll see you in the training.